All right, so today we're diving into a 1971 Belgian-Italian horror film.
Okay.
It's called The Devil's Nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the names alone kind of give you an idea of what we're getting into today.
For sure.
So we're going to try to unlock the secrets of this film and see how it reflects the cultural anxieties of the 1970s.
All right. I'm ready.
Cool.
Let's go.
Yeah. It's so fascinating how this film, with its blend of occult themes, and let's be honest, sometimes those wonderfully cheesy special effects kind of act as this cultural time capsule.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just about jump scares.
Right.
It reflects deeper anxieties about everything from like shifting societal values
for sure,
to the allure of the occult.
Yeah. Okay, so let's set the scene.
For our listeners, we've got a group of tourists who were stranded at this remote castle run by a baron with a very dark secret.
Okay.
And that's where things get interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Baron's family history is where the real horror lies.
Okay.
So generations ago, an ancestor made a pact with the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And the price of that deal was steep. The firstborn daughter of each generation is cursed to become a succubus.
Wow.
Talk about a family burden.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we have Lisa.
Yes.
Who is played by Erica Blank.
Right.
And she is our succubus.
Mm-hmm.
She uses the castle as her hunting ground, targeting the tourists.
Right.
Who each conveniently embody one of the 7 deadly sins.
No, it's a good setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, the film cleverly uses those sins.
Right.
Gluttony, greed, envy, lust, wrath, sloth, and pride. Not just as character flaws, but as a framework for their demise. Each tourist is killed off in a manner reflecting their specific sin. It's over the top, sometimes gruesome, but always symbolic.
So we've got this group of tourists meeting their ends in ways that are specific to their sins.
Yeah.
And then there's the priest representing pride.
Okay.
Now, he initially resists Lisa's charms.
Interesting.
But as we know, pride often comes before a fall.
Often does.
Right. Especially when the devil's involved.
Especially when the devil's involved. The priest's struggle with Lisa's temptation adds this layer of moral complexity to the film.
Okay.
It raises questions about the nature of faith, temptation, and whether anyone is truly immune to the seductive power of evil.
Right.
This tension between good and evil, played out against a backdrop of social upheaval, really captures the essence of the 1970s.
So you can't talk about The Devil's Nightmare without mentioning the ending.
Oh, no.
It's deliberately ambiguous, blurring the lines between reality and dream.
Right.
The film leaves you wondering if those tourists actually met their gruesome fates, or if it was all a terrifying nightmare.
A nightmare.
What do you make of that ending?
Well,
was it just a stylistic choice or something more?
That ambiguity is key to understanding the film's deeper message.
Okay.
Remember, the 1970s was a time of social and political turmoil.
Right.
The world felt unstable. And the film reflects that uncertainty by refusing to offer a clear resolution.
Right.
It's like the filmmakers are saying, even in the face of evil, there are no easy answers.
Yeah, it's like the film itself is a funhouse mirror distorting not just the visuals, but also our perceptions of reality and morality.
Right.
It's unsettling, and it definitely leaves you thinking long after the credits roll.
Yeah.
But to really grasp the film's impact, we need to understand the EuroTrash horror subgenre it belongs to.
Okay.
Now, that term might sound a bit dismissive.
Right.
But it actually describes a fascinating trend in horror cinema. What are your thoughts on the term? And how does this film embody that EuroTrash aesthetic?
Well, I think EuroTrash horror is often characterized by its low-budget aesthetic, over-the-top acting and exploitation elements.
Yeah.
But to dismiss it as simply trashy would be to miss the point entirely.
Okay.
These films often explore the darker aspects of human nature and societal anxieties in ways that more mainstream horror might shy away from.
It's like they're not afraid to get their hands dirty.
Right.
To really dig into the muck of what makes us tick.
Yeah, ticks.
Even if it's uncomfortable or taboo.
Yeah, and The Devil's Nightmare certainly doesn't hold back.
No, it does not.
I mean, the way each death scene plays out is a spectacle in itself.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. The film uses those highly stylized death scenes, each tailored to a specific sin, to highlight the consequences of unchecked desire and moral corruption.
Yeah.
It's a morality play with a visceral, often grotesque twist.
And speaking of visceral, can we talk about Lisa for a moment?
Please.
She's not your typical damsel in distress.
Oh, she's not.
She's a powerful, seductive figure who uses her sexuality as a weapon. In a way, she's both terrifying and empowering.
Yes.
How do you think audiences in the 1970s would have reacted to a character like Lisa?
I think Lisa is a complex character who reflects a lot of the anxieties surrounding female sexuality and empowerment at the time. On the one hand, she embodies the classic femme fatale archetype. Alluring, dangerous, and ultimately destructive. On the other hand, she's also a figure of power and agency. In control of her own desires and destiny. It's a fascinating dichotomy that would have definitely sparked debate.
So she's a reflection of both the fear and fascination surrounding changing gender roles in the 1970s.
Exactly.
Like the film is asking, what happens when women break free from traditional constraints? Are they a force for liberation or a threat to the established order?
Yeah, and by making Lisa a succubus, a demonic figure, the film taps into that primal fear of female sexuality as something potentially dangerous, even evil. It's a theme that has resonated throughout history, and The Devil's Nightmare plays with it in a way that's both provocative and unsettling.
You mentioned earlier that the film also includes a brief lesbian encounter.
Oh, yeah.
Which for 1971 was pretty daring.
Definitely.
Do you think that was purely for shock value? Or was there something more at play?
I think it's important to consider the context of the time. The sexual revolution was challenging traditional norms and depictions of sexuality, particularly non-heteronormative sexuality, were often met with fear and resistance. By including that scene, the filmmakers were pushing boundaries and potentially reflecting a growing awareness of different sexual orientations, even if it was presented in a sensationalized way.
It's like they were throwing everything into the mix.
It seems like it.
Exploring every taboo they could think of. But it's not just about shock value. There's a definite visual style at play here.
Definitely.
A kind of heightened, almost operatic aesthetic that's characteristic of EuroTrash horror. The sets, the lighting,
the costume,
even the gore. It all feels very deliberate and stylized.
Absolutely. EuroTrash horror often embraced a more theatrical, expressive visual style compared to American horror films of the same period. The filmmakers weren't afraid to experiment with color lighting and camera angles to create a mood that was both eerie and visually arresting.
And let's not forget the music.
Oh, the music.
That haunting, synthesized score.
It's fantastic.
Is almost hypnotic. It adds another layer of unease to the film's already unsettling atmosphere.
The music is a perfect example of how The Devil's Nightmare uses every element at its disposal to create a specific mood and tone. It's not just about scaring the audience. It's about immersing them in a world that's both familiar and strangely dreamlike. A world where the lines between reality and nightmare blur.
Speaking of nightmares, let's circle back to that ambiguous ending. We know the film leaves us wondering if it was all a dream. But there's also the priest's encounter with the devil to consider. He seems to strike a deal to save himself, but the terms are never explicitly stated.
Interesting.
What do you think the implications of that are?
Well, I think...
both for the priest and for our understanding of the film's overall message.
The priest's encounter with the devil raises a whole new set of questions about faith, free will, and the nature of evil. Did he make a deal to save himself? Or was he manipulated into serving the devil's purpose? The film leaves it open to interpretation. And that ambiguity, I think, is crucial to understanding the film's deeper message.
It's like even faith, traditionally seen as a bulwark against evil, is shown to be vulnerable, susceptible to temptation and corruption. It ties back into that sense of uncertainty we talked about earlier, that feeling that nothing is truly safe or secure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Devil's Nightmare doesn't offer easy answers
Right.
or clear-cut resolutions.
Yeah.
It challenges us to confront the complexities of human nature and the seductive power of evil, even in the most unexpected places.
Yeah.
And it leaves us wrestling with those questions long after the credits roll.
So you've got this blend of exploitation,
Right.
social commentary,
Yeah.
and genuine horror all wrapped up in a stylish,
Yeah.
low-budget package.
Yes.
It's a wild ride.
Yeah.
For sure.
A wild ride.
But what makes The Devil's Nightmare more than just a cult classic?
That's a good question.
What does it say about us,
Okay.
the viewers? Why should we care about a film that's over 50 years old?
Well, I think The Devil's Nightmare, despite its campy elements, offers a window into the anxieties of a particular era.
Oh.
It speaks to the fears and fascinations surrounding changing social mores, the allure of the occult, and the uncertainty of a world in flux.
And while those anxieties might seem specific to the 1970s, you have to admit they still resonate today.
Oh, absolutely.
In a way.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still grappling with questions about morality,
For sure.
temptation,
Right.
the nature of good and evil.
Yeah.
The world might feel different, but those fundamental human struggles remain the same.
They do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Think about it. We're bombarded with information,
Yeah.
constantly questioning what's real and what's not. We see examples of unchecked greed and power plays out on a global scale.
Yeah.
The themes explored in The Devil's Nightmare, though presented in a heightened fantastical way, still hold a mirror to our own society.
Yeah. Like the film is saying,
Right.
hey, these darker impulses, these temptations, they're not just lurking in some medieval castle.
Yeah.
They're present in all of us.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty unsettling thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
Knowing that we all have the potential to succumb to those darker impulses under the right circumstances.
Yeah, it's a reminder that good and evil aren't absolutes.
Right.
They exist on a spectrum, and the choices we make determine where we fall on that spectrum. The film doesn't offer any easy answers, but it forces us to ask those tough questions about our own values and choices.
And it does so with a wink and a nudge. Yeah. I mean, you can't deny the film's entertainment value.
Oh, absolutely.
Those over-the-top death scenes, the cheesy special effects, the melodramatic acting, it all adds up to a deliciously campy viewing experience.
It's horror with a sense of humor, which makes it all the more effective.
Right.
It doesn't take itself too seriously, but that doesn't mean it's not thought-provoking.
So if you're looking for a film that's both entertaining and insightful, a film that will make you laugh and squirm in equal measure,
that's a good way to put it.
Then The Devil's Nightmare is definitely worth checking out. You can find it streaming on several platforms.
Yeah, you should check it out.
Yeah.
Just be prepared for that ending.
Oh, yeah.
It might just leave you with a few nightmares of your own.
But hey, isn't that what a good horror film is supposed to do?
Yeah, I think so.
Leave you with a lingering sense of unease.
Yeah.
Something to ponder.
Something to think about.
Long after the lights come up.
The Devil's Nightmare is more than just a horror film.
Yeah.
It's a cultural artifact that reflects the anxieties of a specific era, but also speaks to universal themes that continue to resonate with audiences today.
Right.
It's a reminder that the battle between good and evil is ongoing, both within ourselves and in the world around us.
And that is our deep dive into The Devil's Nightmare. We hope you enjoyed exploring this cult classic with us.
I did.
Yeah, me too.
It was fun.
Remember, even in the darkest corners of cinema, we can find reflections of ourselves in the world we inhabit.
That's true.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep questioning.
And maybe keep a nightlight on.
Good idea.
You never know what might be lurking in the shadows.
Yeah, who knows?
All right, see you next time.
See ya.